Hey guys, Brian here for Disc Golf Examiner, and I have a very special video for you here today. I'm out here at Oak Hollow Park in Irwin, PA to do a little course preview. This is a course that I've personally had a lot of time in building, and I am lucky enough to have the course designer here, Dan Flannigan. Dan, how are you?
I'm great, Brian. Great to have you out. I moved here the December before last. I live right around the corner, and I've been playing disc golf for about 20 years, competing for about 10 of that. When I moved here, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of disc golf courses right around me.
Oh, there's none around here.
There's great courses around here, you just have to drive far to get to them. And that wasn't okay for me, so I needed a course right here. I have two little girls that I brought out to the park here a lot, and I happened to walk my dog out here and just got to the point where I had to put a course in here. I approached North Huntington Parks Department, specifically the Parks Director, Dan Miller, presented an idea to him, and he got 100% behind it, and I just can't say enough about how supportive they've been through the process.
These are really nice baskets though. They're really special, aren't they?
Oh, these baskets are fantastic. The reason I originally gravitated towards them was because last year they were voted the most visible basket out there. And
yeah.
I can't tell you how true that is. These things glow in the dark.
You know, I'd say they're steel or gold back there.
Yeah, steel or gold for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is the newest version of the black hole portal that they came out with. What you got here is 4 separate levels of chains, and there's 36 total chains in this basket. The advantage to that is as a disc comes in, it is not going to disrupt or get any of these chains in separate levels moving until you actually throw a disc into it. So they catch so well. I've only had 1 or 2 putts in all the rounds that I put in out here that I thought was like, hey, that was kind of unfair, but you know, what are you going to do? It's disc golf.
So we're really excited to show this course off to you guys in particular. Remember to like, comment, share on the video. We always appreciate it whenever you do that. And without further ado, let's walk the course. So the first thing you're going to see whenever you come into Oak Hollow Park is the sign and the flag. When you come into the park, there's going to be a soccer field on your left-hand side and a parking lot on your right. You're going to proceed past these. You're going to see the disc golf baskets left and right of you there. And as you follow the road around to the right, you're going to see this gravel lot where will be a parking lot in the future, I think.
Yep. Hey guys, this is me pulling into the parking lot right here. For now, go ahead and park right at the top of this gravel driveway. Do not park along the road for right now.
And to get the hole 1, it is right here. You just follow the posts up to hole 1. We're going to start on the long tees here. We're going to show all the long positions. It's a par 3, it's 413 feet, and you have to first off make it through this gap, right Dan?
Yep, there's a gap to hit right off the tee. It's not a super tight tunnel shot, and it's there. This is a downhill shot, probably a little bit more than you can tell from this video, just because it's hard to pick that kind of stuff up. But there's a ton of bail out room, right? And then we tuck into a guarded green back here.
And I actually think that the left side kind of cuts in a little bit, so there's actually a very fair advantage there on the left-hand side if you're trying to get out there and underneath the overhang here.
Absolutely. This is one of our more beautiful greens here out at Oak Hollow. There's a lot of great shots. When we put this course together, we were really thinking about how we could work through and give these cool putting opportunities and picturesque guarded greens.
Yeah, and this one actually does have a really good guarded green. You have to hit it right, and it actually is on the side of a hill, so if you don't hit right or if you hit a tree, you can bounce down into some rough areas. That's for sure.
Look at those baskets glow.
So hole 2 is a par 4. It is 488 feet. And you're going to see that this one here, you can't quite tell on the video, but it is slanting. The right side of the hill is actually higher than the left side. So what does that do to the discs?
Yeah, so when you're throwing a hillside like that, I'm a righty backhand player, so it wants to come out, you know, so I always throw something a little understable up this hill, and the knob in the right that we just passed is the one to beat to set yourself up for a nice approach to go after a birdie on this par 4.
Yeah, and the two sides are pretty heavily shrubbed there, so you have to definitely try to stay out of that because that will cost you a stroke for sure. And the basket is slightly on a hill here, so the right side you're going to be putting downhill, the left side uphill. And of course the basket's going to stick out here, as they do. And we're going to walk across the field here, up over past the first parking lot that you passed whenever you came into the field, came into the park. And this is where hole 3 is. It's a par 3 and is 272 feet. This one plays OB left with the road, and the right is a hillside. So.
Yep, and a little wall of pines down your right-hand side that you will not get through. So it's for a backhand player, this is an Anheuser shot into a fast green. Up here next to the basket, it drops off real quick left, and you can find yourself down in that ditch very easily.
And of course, yeah, the basket being there, there is a drain down there too, so watch out for that.
There is. Future improvements for paths and stuff like this coming on this hole.
Yeah, and so once you leave this hole, you're going to run down this path and down to hole 4, which is across the street. And this particular hole is one of my favorites. It's one of the first holes that you see whenever you come into the park. It is a par 4. It is 751 feet. So you have a long open shot here, but the hill is now slanting left to right. And you do have a very guarded area on the right-hand side, trees on the left-hand side, and OB road on the left-hand side.
Yeah, this is a tougher hole than it looks. Outside of the distance, the slant on this hill comes into play big time. You know, if this was a flat surface, you could land a 747 on this fairway. I cannot tell you how many times I've found myself in the right rough and have been helping members of my group find this in that right rough. It is a magnet down there.
Yes, absolutely. But I think whenever you land on the middle left side of this fairway, it does give you a nice advantage to your approach shot, right?
Absolutely. That comes into play. Playing high on that hillside and using gravity to your advantage on that second shot, you can really punch down there next to the basket and get some extra distance.
And it is misleading. It looks very open, but it is, you know, very easy to get down into the rough on the right there.
Yep, so we're coming up to this basket here. We have plans in the future to make this an elevated basket as well, just to add a extra little bit of fun at the end of the hole. And then leaving that basket, we're going to head up the hill back to the road and head over to our right here towards our next tee.
And this is a beautiful one as well. This is actually the first hole that you see when you come into the course. This is hole 5. It's a par 3. It is 365 feet. You have to play through these trees, and you do have kind of a low ceiling there. And the hillside slants left to right. So the basket is actually down, nestled into these trees down here.
This is a fun hole for me because when I stand on the tee, I get to, you know, one of the things I found out about this hole is it's also a sledding hill in the winter. So it's a pretty big hill, which means that you can disc down a little bit. So I really like to take a mid-range, I throw rocks and just a nice smooth pull right at the basket and watch it glide. It's a beautiful hole to watch thrown.
Yeah, and the low ceiling does come into play there, but honestly, mostly if you miss your first shot, if your first shot doesn't come down into here, you're really going to have some overhang to deal with around that basket.
Yeah, anything outside of the circle, you're dealing with a low ceiling putt where you're really going to have to drive the putt into the chains rather than throw an arcing putt into the basket.
And you do have a little bit of a hill around the basket, of course, as tradition in Pittsburgh. Always put the basket near a hilly area for the fun rollaways. And hole 6 is right next door. It's a par 3, 426 feet. You have a tight gap to kind of throw here with a relatively low ceiling. and you're throwing across the fairway here. It's slanting slightly uphill for this, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of, I would say looking at it, it feels uphill. I think it's going to play a little bit more flat, but the common miss here is missing left, and in that case, you're definitely throwing back uphill to the pin. This is one of my favorite drives on the whole course, just because it's a very touchy, fast disc. You really got to work the full flight of the disc to be able to get it into this opening and give yourself a look at it too. This is a very difficult two and a good par.
Yeah, I've only seen it two'd one time so far, so very exciting. And hole 7's right next to that. This actually plays downhill into a very guarded green. You have a low ceiling to hit through, and this gap is really tough. It's a really tight gap to get down into.
It is. It's technical, and to add to the technicality of the hole, it's downhill, so it's difficult to get a disc to fly that sharp of a turn and fly that short. There's definitely two options here for a right-handed player. The backhanded anhyzer can float down to the basket, or you can take a poke at it with a forehand as well.
And there are, like I said, obviously there's multiple trees in the area. We have these logs on the ground here now, and we might have some future obstacles planned here.
Absolutely. This is a really cool looking hole. I like a lot the way that the light shines on a lot of these baskets. I sound like a total disc golf dork when I say that, but I really love those shots where you can see a beam of light shooting through the trees and just lighting up the chains.
And this is one of those places where it happens.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So the next hole is actually going to be down the path through the woods here, and we're going to come up to the lake hole. This is probably the signature hole, I would call the course.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more talked about holes, that's for sure.
And the first thing I'm going to show you is where we're going to put the long tee in the future here. Where it is currently is in this position here. So you want to make your shot across the pond. Obviously, unfortunately I didn't have a drone with me, so I ran it. But you have the short tee here, so you get to see where that pin location is, or that tee location is.
Yeah, from the shorts, this is a really fun hyzer shot around the corner, and I'm sure we're going to look back here in a second, and you can really get a good idea. I would tell people that, you know, this is an intimidating hole, but you know, if you're able to turn a disc over left to right and hold that line, you know, you're only going to need to clear about 200 feet to get over the water. And you know, as you get more aggressive and reach a little closer to the basket, disc up and go for it.
So hole 9, this is going to be the new tee location for hole 9. It's going to be a par 4 in this location, right, Dan?
Yeah, this is in the works right now, so we're still chopping down trees over there, and it's going to be a fun one. This is the current hole right now. This is a really tight anhyzer. I throw mid-range on this hole just so I can hold it right all the way down that line, and I throw it just about as hard as I can. The key to doing well on this hole is holding it right.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you can hold a, I find a tight anhyzer shot for me, because I'm right-hand backhand, works very well on this hole. And it can at least get you in a good position to get your up.
This is actually the area of the course where it really hit me that I needed to put a disc golf course here. This is kind of where it all started. I was walking my dog through these woods and looked around, and you know, that combined with the fact that I didn't have a disc golf course within, you know, 30 minutes of me that was tournament quality, I needed to make it happen right here. So,
and you have to look out on this hole for that downhill, because there's a ravine down there, so it's got a couple of my discs already.
Yeah, it eats them.
So we're gonna move on to hole 10. It's a par 4, 466. You want to play your first shot out through this gap. You're gonna see the trail follow, and honestly, this is your first shot here is going to be a placement shot out into the field.
Yeah, this is placement shot. The further you can reach up the hill and out the gap, the better position you're going to be to make your next shot, which is going to come up over top of this hill and nestle into a maple tree down here at the bottom.
But stay clear of the rough on the left, because it is rough.
The rough on the left is very rough.
So this downhill actually it plays really fast.
It's very fast. I typically try and land something to the right of that maple and let it slide down to the basket. And when you miss a putt after this, you're definitely gonna have a comebacker to flirt with.
So hole 11 is nearby. It's a par 3, 466, and this one plays slightly uphill to the right. You want to get through the gap here on the there's two sides that are pretty rough. There's the far side, and then there's the closer side, and the basket is behind a tree in the center there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the whole key to this one is just finish with the disc moving right. No matter how far you get it up there, and when I say moving right, having it on line and moving right, because if you end up in the bushes there, you're going to have a punch out at best to try and save your par.
And I haven't had too many bad rollaways or anything. It is on a slight bit of a hill, but it's no rollaways from here.
Yeah, every basket on this course is going to present a challenge to you with terrain. It's just a design feature that is kind of signature in my courses, and you know, I think there should be risk reward in a shot.
So hole 12 is a par 3. It is 362, and this one's a tight uphill gap. You can't quite tell how uphill it is. It's a slight uphill, but you definitely have a very tight window here that you have to hit.
Yeah, if you are going to try and deuce this hole, this is a smash. You are going to be a top tier elite distance thrower to be able to get something underneath this basket for a 2. It's really position golf though. For me, it's, you know, either putter or rock, and I'm up there around the basket to go after a 3, normally within the circle.
And yeah, I will say that this is one I very rarely have 3'd it. I think I may have done it 1 or 2 times, but it's when I do, I feel like I did a really good job.
I think it's all about landing in the fairway on your drive. It's
absolutely.
a very approachable hole from the fairway, but the second you step off, it gets difficult fast.
So hole 13 is a fun one. It's par 3, 298. It plays down this hill and into this gap into the woods, and downhill into where the basket is. But just past the basket, you're going to have a large downhill slant, so you don't really want to overshoot it.
Yeah, this is another one of my favorites too, just because of that kind of sword in the stone moment. This basket, a lot of times you'll stand up there on the hill and you're looking into a black hole of the woods, and all you can see is a basket shining at the end of it. So yeah, it's a fun one to look at, fun one to play.
And it is very guarded on the left-hand side. If you punch in a little early, you can get to the basket, but it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
We think we got some vines there that we're going to get rid of at some point, but who knows. So hole 14 is a par 3. It is 226 feet, and this one's the new hole. This is one we had to actually carve out of the woods, and the main thing is you want to make this gap here, through that, to the right of that tree or to the left of that tree.
Yep, this is a very tight technical hole. It's gonna take all of your focus to throw a great shot on this hole. I think this hole will lend itself a little bit more to forehand players, the way it shapes, but it's gonna be difficult for everybody. You're gonna have to throw a great shot to have an opportunity at it too. You're also gonna have to keep yourself near the fairway to get your 3. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears left on this hole by the volunteer crew. I gotta really pat everybody on the back for what they came out and did. Most of this hole was cleared with machetes and hand saws and pole saws, and it was literally through the thickest part of the woods that I encountered. It was just the right shape for what we needed, so had to be done.
And here's my new favorite, hole 15, par 3, 407 feet. I actually think that's longer than that.
I think it is. I think that distance might be a little bit under. I think it plays like it's probably 380. Being downhill, it is a full rip, and the reason we ended up with this hole is it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to have a hill like this on a disc golf course and not have an opportunity to throw down it.
Yeah.
And we have a really cool kind of saddle that works its way across this hillside, and we used it in the basket placement. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well in the video as we walk up to it, but it's another one of those
slight dip.
It's a little dip, and it's just enough that if you land uphill of it, you're really going to have to think about how you approach this basket. It's not just going to be a stand and let her go.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually found myself on the upper side of that hill today, and my putt downhill was actually a little tougher than I thought.
I gotta give a little shout out to Brad O'Grady for throwing the longest mid-range shot I've ever seen in my life on this hole. Unfortunately, it was like 200 feet past the basket, almost on hole 12.
So hole 16 is a par 4. It's 526. This is all uphill. This is the big uphill shot of the course, I would say.
Yeah, this is, you know, lace up your boots and get it done. You're going to have to throw hard to get up this hill. The furthest I've seen thrown is to the top of the hill. I think Brian may have seen a little bit further, but, you know, it's even for big distance throwers, it's at least 2 big poles. And for me, I can, you know, get up there. I can consistently throw about 350, and it takes me, you know, 2.5 full shots to get to the basket. I normally can tap in pretty well for my 4, but it's going to be a throw-in if I get my 3.
And there is a slight slant to this hill as well. I think in the future we were talking about maybe doing a raised basket here.
Yep. It's definitely still on the table.
So from here you're going to walk through the path in the woods to the left of the basket, and you're going to head to hole 17. It's a par 3, 380 feet. This one's tightly wooded at the beginning here. You have to really hit this gap. Low ceiling too, I have to say. But if you can hit this gap just right, you can get out into the field and make your putt for 2 very well there.
Yep. This is probably the prettiest hole on the course, in
Absolutely.
my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
You walk out of this gap and you get the backdrop of the trees behind the basket. You can see all of this beautiful park. We're actually standing here videoing it here right now, and it is just absolutely gorgeous out here. It's one of my favorite places to hang out in the twilight hours.
Great place to tan, I'm finding.
Yeah, how about that? And sweat.
Yeah. So that's going to lead us to our last hole, which is right next door. It's hole 18, par 3, 332 feet. And that's going to bring us back to the parking lot as well. This one plays down, well, across the hill first and then down. Right around here, you're going to see a dip downhill where you see the basket. And the basket is in the middle of the field here. Anything you want to talk about maybe in the future ideas here?
Yeah, there's some future hardscape plans to make this kind of, I call it like a topsy-turvy birthday cake that we're going to plant a basket on top of. There's some cool stuff. Like I said, the parks have been so committed to making this place great and been 100% behind it, and I just can't wait to see where this course continues to go.
And of course, while we're down here, you see the road and the gravel road both playing OB for this hole. And that's going to do it for our walkthrough. Even more than just the disc golf course here, though, the location is really nice. You're 4 minutes away from downtown Irwin. Lots of bars and restaurants. Great place to get tacos. I'm a personal fan of like one of the pizza places downtown that have really great salads as well.
Feathers Artist Market and Gifts on 4th Street. My disc golf retail company and design company actually partners with them, and we stock discs at Feathers Artist Market. We stock MVP in an over right now. Soon to come, we're adding Prodigy, DGA, and west side here in the next couple of months, and we're posting a lot about when we restock, but it's a great stop if you're in town. There's a lot of cool stuff to look at if you go in there too. They have a art gallery in the back with rotating local artists, so great place to stop by, browse some discs, and check out the local fair. I'd be amiss if I didn't mention the guys that have been boots on the ground and running heavy equipment out here for us. It's been a mix of volunteer labor like us in the Parks Department working together to get this course put together, but Dan Miller, the Parks Director, has been absolutely fantastic, and Assistant Township Manager Mike Turley, and then the Parks guys Ron and Pat, who are out here on a daily basis, and the Indian Lakes guys Tom and Bear that come over to help out as well. Can't thank those guys enough. They do an awesome job out here. The grass is always green and cut, and we're working together to give everybody an amazing disc golf course to play. It's a work in progress, but I am so pleased with where the course is at this point in the stage. Being only 4 months into it, they're doing a fantastic job.
We've had hundreds of hours of man hours, hundreds to put this together. So it's really great to see it all kind of paying off and having people come out and try it out. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for our course preview here at Oak Hollow Park in Irwin, PA. Dan, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
And until next time, guys, keep banging those chains.